We all do it, and quite frequently. We're on the internet, we're using our smartphones, iPads, other games and devices, and it could be taking a toll.
You think back to when your mom used to say, hey, you're looking too closely at the television, back up a little bit, at least those in my generation.
Mine too, yeah.
Dr. Joy Harewood is an optometrist. She's here now to discuss the impact of technology on our eyes.
Thank you very
Good to have you here.
Thank you very much. Now, a lot more people are using the internet. About 70% of people in the U.S. are using the internet, and about 50% of those are using it on their smartphones, and it's taking much more of a toll on our eyes. There's a lot more visual demand for us.
Okay, so what is it about this that's different than watching TV, playing a video game, what have you? Is there something in the technology that makes you strain more or work harder?
Well, there's a couple of different things. Firstly, you're working a lot of the time at a much closer working distance. When you have your smartphone, you have to bring your eyes in and focus a lot more. And also, when you look at a screen, you tend to blink a lot less. When we blink regularly, it's about 22 times a minute. When you look at a screen, whether it's a computer or whether it's your smartphone, you tend to blink about 7 to 10 times a minute.
Oh,
So
I didn't even realize that. So no wonder so many people are staring at the computer screen. That is a literal function. I didn't realize that.
So mom was right. So what are you seeing as the impact, though? Are we seeing more close-sightedness? What is that called?
Nearsightedness?
Nearsightedness?
Well, not necessarily. What we're seeing is a lot of patients coming in saying that they're having blurred vision, eye strain, headaches, and dry eye. And that's actually so common now, they're calling it a syndrome called computer vision syndrome.
Wow.
All right, so what are some of the things that you can do? These are the symptoms you just mentioned. What can we do to reduce that? Because you can't get around it. In an office, you're on your phone, you're on the computer. What can we do?
I would say 3 different things. First of all, you want to have the right setup. So when you put your computer screen in your office, you want to make sure it's about 15 to 20 degrees below your line of sight. You also want to make sure that you have the right prescription for that particular distance. So it's not necessarily your reading distance, it's about your computer distance.
I'm glad you brought that up because I have reading glasses and I wore them on the computer, and I noticed in the course of a year my eyesight plummeted. I'm sure other viewers had the same thing. I went back and they said, no, you need computer glasses. I'm thinking, no, they're just trying to sell me.
No,
I guess they're not.
Not particularly, because when you read, you tend to read a little bit closer and the computer's a little bit farther away. So you want a pair of glasses that are set for a little bit farther away. So you want to make sure you're focused there. And finally, and most importantly, is the 20-20-20 rule. So you want to take breaks. So every 20 minutes, you want to look 20 feet away for 20 seconds. And that should help you to get your blink rate back together and to just take a break so your eyes are more comfortable.
You talked about the blink rate. How important is that?
Well, if you're not blinking as much, then your eyes tend to dry out. So that dryness can cause gritty sensation, can cause that headachy feeling and just discomfort at the end of the day.
Well, what kind of impact is this having on our children? Because many classrooms don't even have a chalkboard. They've got the smart board. Some kindergartners have iPads. What is the concern for our children and their future eyesight?
That's a huge loaded question. A lot of people have many questions when it comes to whether people are being as active in childhood because they're using, these small things so much. And there is also an increased demand on our kids' eyes too. So the same symptoms that you're feeling, your kids might be feeling too.
When you use the eye drops, the saline solution for the dry eye, is there a long-term impact of using that stuff?
That's an interesting question. There's different types of drops that you can use. Most drops have a little bit of preservative in them, and some people get allergic to that preservative after an extended period of time. So if that's the case, you can get non-preserved drops that are in single-use vials, and you can use those, and those tend to help a little bit more.
Now, oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you this. You mentioned taking breaks. I noticed that sometimes if I'm reading like a New York Times where the print is smaller, I might use reading glasses. But if I do that for about 10 minutes and I take them off, it takes a moment for my eyes to adjust to regular. And I wonder if that's something that folks ought to keep in mind, that, take those things off every now and then take a break.
Well, definitely, you're going to notice that difference, but that's another part of the whole computer vision syndrome and problems that people have at near, the adjustment between going from near and distance, and that's something that can be worked on.
So computer vision syndrome, this is a real
thing.
A new buzzword that we're going to be hearing out there.
It's the new buzzword.
Am I correct in some of the research that I did that you can actually have computer programs to help your eyes?
There are a few computer programs that will actually interrupt your screen every few minutes, and they'll force you to take that break. And that will help to make sure that you remember, every 20 minutes that you're taking that break. So it'll take over your screen and tell you need to stretch, you need to get up, you need to look away.
And of course, there's also a function on your screen where you can enlarge the screen.
Exactly.
100 to 125%, say, so that it's bigger and you're not straining.
Exactly. So all these points, excellent ways for you to help your eyes.
Now, what about the free downloads? Do you know off the top of your head where you might be able to get these?
There's a few. Whether you're a PC or a Mac makes a difference. For Mac, there's one called Timeout that actually helps and interrupts your computer screen. And there's another one called WorkRaise, and that one also does the exact same thing as the Timeout.
All right, so remind us again.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, you mentioned the
Timeout.
20-20-20.
Timeout and WorkRave.
Timeout, work, but no, the 20-20-20. Refresh our memories
Refresh
on
on
that
the
again.
20-20-20.
Yep.
So every 20 minutes, look 20 feet away for 20 seconds to give your eyes a break.
20-20-20 for 20/20 vision. We hope, Doctor, we thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you.
It was eye-opening.